5:15, so I will call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome everybody. We shall have roll call, please, Ashley.
Councilmember Crowe?
Yes.
Cody?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Ellison?
Yes.
Mayor Muller?
Yes. Okay, we will start out once again with Mayor Waller's quote for the day. Today, this quote comes from Helen Keller. "Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much." Just kind of speaks to the spirit of teamwork. And we had a little bit of an example of that last night when we had the welcome picnic. All the various collaboration that went on to make that happen was pretty good. So we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. I'll be looking for a motion to approve, but before we get to that, I just want to throw it out to the council. Items E, F, and G. Becca and I were talking before the meeting, and I'm trying to remember how we handled those types of things. Did we normally put those in the, I thought they went into petitions, requests, and communications down in that block, but I guess I'm trying to remember, and I'm wondering if any of you remember how we handled those. Because it's a request, it's a request for temporary liquor license. And I don't know if they can, I suppose they can be in either place, but I just don't know what the right way.
Can we look back? I mean, these are each something that's happened each year at about this time, the street dam.
I just don't remember seeing them in the consent agenda. I thought they always were in the petitions, but I think.
We could move them if you would like.
Let's see.
It'd be easy enough to just slide them down and handle them that way, but. It just seems like temporary liquor licenses, those types of things.
Yeah, I see it like in a previous one last year, the liquor license and dance permit for the Hudson Inn was in petitions, requests, and communication.
Yeah, I think that's what I remember too, so if it's okay with the council, we can slide E, F, and G. We'll just move those down into petitions, requests, and communications.
Okay.
Then I'll be looking for a motion to approve the agenda if there's nothing else to add or correct.
I'll move approval of the agenda with the addition of adding E, F, and G on the consent agenda to petitions, requests, and communications.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda, or the agenda, I'm sorry. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, we have citizens' comments portion of the meeting. This is the place where we give opportunities to approach the council, and we do have a couple of guests I see here. And if you want to go first, we have a representative from Prairie Harvest Fest here. Just come on up to the microphone, state your name, and tell us a little bit about what you're here for.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Eckel. I work at the university, and I'm on the board for the Prairie Harvest Fest. And I just wanted to be here to represent and speak on behalf of the Prairie Harvest Fest and the diversity of the programming that is happening out there, that we're making sure that the local businesses and community is well represented, as well as bringing in some diverse and new items to make it an exciting experience and bring in outside attraction as well. So
Perfect.
it's going to be a great event.
Maybe speak to the Brews and Bites
yes.
portion of it. It's a kind of a new attraction, I think, this year.
Yeah. So for a fee, the individuals would get a wristband. They'd be check their license. We'll be doing all of the proper necessary steps to ensure that it's safe and age appropriate. But children will be able to participate too. because there'll be bites and, so it's different businesses giving samples. So it's a sampling event. So you get, your cards, you go around and you get samples from different businesses, and there'll be area businesses, but we also have an outside brewery coming in as well, just because we do not have a local brewery or winery to participate. But it'll be, you know, little, that way it's an opportunity to try something that you wouldn't, maybe never tried before, and it's something exciting and fun.
I like the idea that you're bringing in new stuff. I mean, that's a
Mhm.
great committee that looks for bringing, using what worked last year and then adding more onto it. I think that's a great thing, so.
And the reason I joined the board is because they've been very thoughtful about the, you know, the whole entirety of the community. What can they do for everyone to make sure that it is something that everyone can enjoy? So they've been very thoughtful.
I know the Prairie Harvest Committee has been working really hard, so I just want to give you a little pat on the back. It's a lot of good things happening, and looking forward to it. Any questions from anybody else? To Sarah?
I just had some questions, and I talked to Becca about it, why we would be bringing it outside, but after sitting down, discussing with her, all the locals have been invited, pretty much,
Absolutely.
the license holders, and most of those are participating with the additional outside. So that was the only thing I had an issue with, why we would be bringing in outside when we
Yeah.
have plenty of local, but after getting it explained to me that, yeah, we're trying to mix in and add in, so, yeah, I just wanna make sure that we take care of our local.
Oh, yes,
It's a
we-
community event, and to take care of our established ones that are here. And some didn't wanna participate because they have other events going on Friday night, or a wedding
Yeah.
party coming
Yeah.
in, or, so just trying to be looking out for our local.
And I
besides-
think that we'll probably see those people join it later down the road if, you know, if, the event continues to grow. I truly believe it will continue to grow because there's a lot of good positive energies behind that. And if we ever get a local brewery or winery, then we would definitely have them in there as well.
Yeah, nothing adventured, nothing gained. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, if we're gonna sit and, this is how we've always done it, don't try something different, you'll never grow, so,
Exactly.
thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Anybody else would like to approach the council? Okay. All right, we shall move on. We have no public hearings. We will move on to the reading and approval of the August 8th, 2023 regular meeting minutes.
I'll move approval of the 8/8/23 regular meeting minutes.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the August 8th, 2023 regular meeting minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And we'll have the condensed version of the minutes for the paper from August 8th, 2023.
I will move approval of the condensed minutes from our August 8th meeting.
I will second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Carried. Now we will move on to the consent agenda, which consists of the audit of city bills, the gambling reports, the tree board minutes, and the library board minutes. I guess I can move approval of those items on the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any discussion on any of the items on the consent agenda?
Line 66 on the city bills there, were we planning on doing an update to fencing for that? Yeah, okay, perfect.
And I think, was that for one of the softball fields, I believe, wasn't it? Or-
Eagles Ballpark, I believe it states right on
Yeah,
there.
it says Eagles.
So was that the main field?
I know they've done work at several different
Yeah.
locations,
Okay.
but we talked at our park board meeting that there's some some modifications or some things that weren't included that should have been, but just a little lack of communication. It seemed like between transitioning from Blaine retirement and working with them, and so we got a few tweaks we have to do on some of that yet after talking with some of the Public Works and Park Board, but
I was just wondering if that included the batting cage, because I know we did put in a new batting cage or two. I don't know.
that's separate,
That was a separate
I believe.
expense. Okay. All right. Any other items to discuss on the consent agenda? Hearing none? All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Carried. Now we shall move on to the petitions, requests, and communications. We can start with the first one, which is the item that we tabled until this evening, the 3-2 liquor license application for the Family Dollar. So I'll be looking for a motion to approve, and then we can have a discussion, if any.
I'll move approval for a 3-2 beer license for Family Dollar. That'll be a 3-2 beer. It's not gonna be any liquor, it'll be beer, correct?
Yep.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the 3.2 liquor license for the Family Dollar. Any discussion before we put it to a vote?
We used to have 15, 20, 3-2 beer license in town back when I worked at Elmer's, 85 to 2005. I mean, pretty much every convenience store, the grocery stores, it's an option for people to pick up a 6-pack, a 12-pack, or an NA when they're grocery shopping, or if they're in there. I don't see where it's any issue reading through our minutes from our last meeting. I missed, I'm sorry, but just, I don't see it as any conflict with our liquor store or losing any business. I think we're the only state in the 50 states that still has 3-2 beer. I mean, everyone else has gone away from it. It's not a growing thing, but if somebody wants it, applies for it, I see no problem. It'll be monitored like any of our other liquor or tobacco license.
Yeah, and I think that's why the council decided last meeting to table it, because, you know, you have obviously a lot more experience in that area. You used to work in that, field, so thanks for your input, appreciate that.
Yeah, I did some of the ones like Paul at Willie's stated when they got rid of it, just with the help and not 18 individuals that were working as checkouts, and then the bag boys, different employees trying that it got to be more of a hassle than it was worth for them. But it's just, I don't see any issue for it, and if they think they can make $1 at it, I think we should allow it to happen.
Yeah, I agree. Makes sense. Any other discussion on that?
I appreciate obviously you put in some legwork talking to different cities, and I appreciate that, right? That's good knowledge to have, right? Even talking to Marshall, that Hy-Vee stopped selling it because they didn't get the sales that they were anticipating.
All right, well, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion before we put it to a vote? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the 3-2 liquor license for the Family Dollar signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Well, we have the street dance permit for the Met Lounge.
I'll move approval of the street dance permit for the Met Lounge.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the street dance permit for the Met Lounge. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Carried. And moving on, the next one would be the temporary liquor for the Outstate Brewing Company. That's a temporary permit for the Prairie Harvest Fest.
I'll move on that temporary sale of liquor for Outstate Brewing Company, the liquor license.
I will second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the temporary liquor license for Outstate Brewing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And last but not least, we have the temporary liquor license for Old Fire Hall Brew Company LLC for the same stated event.
I'll move on that temporary liquor license for Old Fire Hall Brewing Company.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the temporary liquor license for Old Fire Hall Brew Company signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Just noted in their application under city, it's listed as Morse. I believe it would be Starbuck.
Oh, the city where they're from.
Yeah.
Application must be approved by,
Yeah, because that's 56381, that's Starbuck.
Yeah, that just threw me, but I'm sure that's what it is, just for the information that where they're out of.
so what, motion carried then, right?
Yeah, we'll just have them fix their application when if you approve it, we'll just have them fix their address.
What's that?
I said, once you approve it, we'll just have them fix their address
Okay,
on there.
all right, so did we need to vote on that again, or did we just did, I thought, right?
Yeah, it's
No,
fine, they
no
just
problem
need
Fine,
to,
we'll
just
just make
correct
that
they just need to
correction.
fix their address
Okay,
on the
gotcha, just-
permit.
If down the
Just
road
approved
at
it with
1 in
that
a million,
correction
if there's
and-
an issue that we have our
Okay,
paperwork done properly, that
right, okay, gotcha.
From an
All right,
audit
then we
standpoint.
shall move on to ordinances and resolutions. This is the first reading of ordinance number 119, an ordinance regulating the use of cannabis and cannabis-derived products in public places. Becca, would you like to speak to this at all, or?
Yeah, so, August 1st, the new law was put into place that adult use cannabis, is legal to sell, to use, and to have on your person. So obviously they can't sell until they get their all of the laws and how they're gonna do things in place, but the using and having it on your persons is legal. So this ordinance makes it illegal to smoke on public property and in our parks and in the campground. We have the same policy for tobacco. It's in a policy and not an ordinance, so we may have to look at that eventually, but this will just make it so we can't smoke, or however you do cannabis. You can't be doing it in the parks. And we did add a spot in there for the campgrounds also. The city attorney said that we may not be able to regulate it in their campers, but in the campground park, it will, if this goes through, then it'll be.
It's gonna be difficult to police either way, the way I see that, but
That's not our role, though. Our role is just to,
exactly right.
yeah, so.
And I see the fine is petty misdemeanor if found guilty, up to $300, so it is what it is, I guess.
So you're pretty much, it's pretty much being, the smoking of it, cannabis will be the same as smoking tobacco
And the e-cigarettes, yep, and you can't do it in the parks.
in the parks. What about city streets, sidewalks?
I think that is part of that too.
Under-
What did you say?
City streets and
Okay, well, that's public.
sidewalks?
Yeah.
That's
Public?
all public.
That's all public,
Yeah.
okay.
Under section G, they define public place, public park or trail, public streets or sidewalks, any enclosed indoor area used for general used by the general public, including but not limited to, yada, yada, yada. There's a bunch of different,
Okay,
areas in
thanks.
there. Yep.
You said city attorney had looked at it.
Mm-hmm.
Who are we employing for a city attorney at these?
We're using the interim county attorney. So our contract is with the county attorney.
Yep, and they don't have one right now neither, do they? Or is there
Nope, so we're just
assistant,
using the interim.
the assistant or the,
Yep,
who I believe is, that's what I thought.
yep.
We haven't gotten a permanent through the county yet.
I don't believe they have done that. Last I knew they had offered it.
And I
Waiting
heard
to
that the
hear
one they
back.
offered it to originally had rejected it, and they were looking at offering it to somebody else, but I haven't heard any progress. I'm just curious if we had made any steps.
Not yet. I meet with
Okay.
them on Thursday, so
All right, thank you.
no more than.
Yeah, something new again. It's just gonna create some challenges, but I appreciate the ordinance. It kinda makes things pretty clear for us. So appreciate that.
I think it should be noted too that it's not only cigarettes, cannabis, but it is also electronic devices, e-cigarettes, that are not allowed in those areas, so. So I will go ahead and move on that. I'll make a motion accepting the first reading of the ordinance 119.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the first reading of ordinance number 119, regulating the use of cannabis and cannabis-derived products in public places. I think we'll have roll call on that, please, Ashley.
Councilmember Kraus,
Yes.
Southley,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Phillipson,
Yes.
Mayor Waller.
Yes. Okay, we shall move on to the city manager's newsletter.
Ah. So just some information if anyone wants to go, the Stevens County is putting on an opioid settlement annual public meeting. Looks like they got some funds from a settlement, so they have to do an annual public meeting every year to talk about what they're using those funds for. So the meeting takes place September 12th from 12 to 1, open to the public, and is located at the Stevens County Highway Department.
Yeah, that's the third Tuesday, I believe, right? Or no? 19th? 12th, wait a second. That's that's our meeting day that day. Second Tuesday. That'd be the second Tuesday in September. Okay. I might try to make that.
Union negotiations, so union contracts are up at the end of the year. I have heard from the union just on getting some information to them so they can, I'm sure, get a game plan together to start negotiations. So hopefully we'll be starting those soon. Earned sick and safe time and paid family medical leave. So this is another new law that was enacted starting next year. Anyone who is employed by the city, any temporary spots or seasonal spots will be able to earn sick time, 1 hour for every 30 hours worked. This will then in turn have us look at our policy on sick time. We'll have to change some wording in there because as of right now, anyone who works under 30 hours doesn't get any sick time accumulated. So it also has different wording for some safe time, which is they can use some of these hours in order to, like if school was closed and they wanted to go get their kids, they can use it for some of that too. So some of that will change in policy. And then the paid family medical leave, that will not go in effect until 2026 once DEED has the program all connected. But this is something we will have to look in our budget. This will have funds coming out of the city for that. So we'll be seeing some difference to our budget come that year. The building official, the contract right now is on a month-to-month. It went till August. The building official had said that he was looking to retire in August. He's willing to stay on until we find someone or when he is officially retired in 2026. He has enough credits to go through then. So I did reach out. I will go meet with the city of Benson tomorrow. They have the same building official, so I'm gonna try and see if we can do some cost sharing or what their thoughts are on how to get a building inspector. It's really hard to come by one. So we'll just kind of have to try and make a plan and have some conversations to see what we can do with some of our surrounding communities who are struggling too. Planning Commission, they met on August 15th. We talked about moving forward with allowing brew pubs and tap rooms in the Central Business District and the Highway Business District. So our next steps are to work on an ordinance. We have a couple one we really like to kind of mirror off of, but to kind of go through that with the city attorney, bring it back to the Planning Commission, plan a public hearing date, go through that, bring the recommendation to council, have the council kind of do this same thing. So, so they moving forward with the brew pubs and tap rooms. Tree Board met on August 16th. They're looking at applying for 2 different tree grants. One is a state grant that will look at purchasing trees and a watering trailer and tank. The other is a federal grant that they're looking at applying for, which would include pruning for storm damage and pruning for maintenance. So they'll start moving forward on the federal grant for that will be mostly the pruning of the trees. And the state grant, they're most likely going to apply for that one too. Just going to have our public works director and then some members of the tree board go out and map out some spots and how many trees they're looking to plant. So if needed and we need to give a resolution supporting that, we'll bring that forward prior to them doing the final application. And then talking about a work session. So when I started, it was talked that the 5th Tuesday, if the 5th Tuesday fell in the month, that we'd have a work session. So that would be the next meeting, or next week would be the 5th Tuesday. So if we're all still on board, we'll probably do that. I have Griffin wants to bring his intern to discuss kind of what he's been doing throughout the year for the sustainability stuff. If there's anything else, that'll take about a half hour. He thought I can do that. Otherwise, if I think of anything else, we can throw that on there. I would like to request a work session for September 21st at 5 o'clock to go over the budget prior to the final preliminary levy. This one we can have, staff is all able to make it to that one, the department head, so.
That's a Thursday?
It is.
Okay.
Our one that we're talking about every 5th, would be next Tuesday, is that correct?
Yep.
Mayor? Is there things that we want to be on there? I mean, I think hearing an update about the sustainability isn't what I consider what I want to have a meeting for on a work session. If we want to have an update on that, I think he can come in citizens' comments or be on one of our agendas.
Okay.
But I think it's more for us to have a discussion about some of the things that we need to talk about. It's more of a keep us up to date on what we want to work on or something like that. So
Yeah, we all kind of stated a bunch of separate goals between all of us. So as far as I'm concerned, I kind of agree with you, Brian. We could pick one of those areas and
so we need maybe some suggestions for putting an agenda together. Because
last time we basically wanted us to each come up with 3 different topics that
Yep.
I think that we felt were important for us to get
I gave a copy of that
lined
to you.
up, and I think that's valuable and a good chance for us to sit down and bring up these things that we haven't dealt with, that we need to get on our list or that we need to be working on.
I would believe that we have to have an agenda and follow it. So, I mean, if we want, I mean, I don't believe that each one of those sessions that we can just
Willy-nilly.
willy, anything we want to talk about.
And
There
you
needs
can't
to-
make a decision.
Right, there needs to be an agenda that, of the things that we're going to discuss, and obviously we won't make a decision on any of that, but, maybe throughout next week or from now until then, we can trade some emails about what we would like to see on the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely one of them on mine would be our East Seventh and what we're gonna do with our water and sewer.
Yep.
We tabled that, or we
Yep.
pushed it back a
Yep.
year, but the residents, the businesses, we were gonna try to get some legwork, find out some answers from the engineer, our residents, on what's gonna happen there, if we're gonna just do the street, or if we're gonna be able to do the water sewer. Do the residents want it done? I mean, I've had people contact me, listen, you stupid, not so kind words, ask your residents, because most of us don't want it. So, you know, to find out if it's something that we're trying to force down, so we need to get that done, I think, before we get to making the decision that we're gonna do it when we come into this winter. You know, we talked about the industrial park, you know, hopefully we can have a plan on what we're doing. If there's any way, if we reconnect with Joe or John, whoever owns that land with their split up, on expanding, or if Hench's Oil has got land on, I think, a couple sides of us out there, or we talked about maybe going the other direction. And I've talked to Becca about this a little bit, but just our franchise fee money is supposed to be going for a dedicated improvements on our streets above and beyond what we normally spend with our city budget. That money was to catch up and keep up and get ahead on the maintenance of our streets. And that money was a tax, and if we weren't using it for that, we said we were gonna quit taxing the franchise fee if we weren't gonna spend it on that. So we need to use that money on that, I believe, and figure out and find out how we get back into that, make the improvements on our seal coating, our paving, and doing the things there to spend that extra money to get our streets and roads in shape. That's my three. I think I was probably the only one that was on the council when we talked about that, but I specifically remember the people driving around the potholes, the streets, the things, and, you know, to stay ahead. It always gets more expensive, and we have to stay ahead of it.
One thing I think would be beneficial for us really too would be to have a conversation about the law enforcement and how that's going. It's been about a little over a year since we, you know, made the change to the Stevens County, and I don't know if we could do that in a work session type of a thing, just, I don't know, invite Sheriff Dingman in maybe, or would that be in
I
a
think it'd be
public
good to
setting?
bring him in to talk to us, and I've stopped and talked to him a few months ago, and he said anytime we want him to come and address us, if we have any concerns, any issues, he would be glad to come and meet with us. But Brian and Becca and myself have been meeting with them on some other issues right now, so we've been in some meetings with them on the camera usage for the sheriff's department. We're looking at purchasing some cameras, but we're trying to look at different things, and we're working on that. So we're still in the middle of doing some talks with them on that, but
Okay.
I don't know if we wait until we get a solution or what we're doing with that, and then maybe do it so we can figure that out, or if we're still working on that also, for your information.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, we can wait, I guess, on that probably. I guess one of the things, of course, that I was looking for prior to you coming on board was the charter review. You know, it's been a while since we've did a formal charter review, and, you know, maybe just trying to wrap ourselves around that process, but, you know, I don't know if that's a work session worthy topic, but I think we could all benefit from having a discussion of that. There's certainly some things in our charter that are changed over the years, and maybe just a fresh look at it, but
Yeah, like I think, like what I said is, you know, between now and maybe towards the end of the week, we get an agenda kind of set up by maybe Friday or something, so that we could, each one of us could send in, you know, 3 topics that maybe we would like to see on that we could discuss during this next one, and have that on the agenda. And then we could maybe even after we're done, before we're done with this that work session, we could have a few for the next one if things come up there. But
A priority list.
yeah, so if we, you know, email in to her, we can get to Rebecca, we get our list put together, so.
Yeah, land acquisition is always an interesting topic. I mean, we've kind of reached the limit on where we can go, and that would be another interesting topic that we could hash out. But so you want to just do it that way, play it that way. By the end of the week, maybe send out an email with potential topics.
Had you contacted somebody with the charter review back?
Yeah, I
that
had.
You said the league would send somebody out
Yep.
or help us on
League of
doing that?
Minnesota Cities offers that, and basically what they'll do is they'll come out and tell us what it all entails. The first visit, when they send somebody out, is at no cost. They just will tell us what is required, and they will assist really in that whole process. So if you wanted, I could, or either you or myself could reach out to the League of Minnesota Cities and see if they'd come out.
Well, let's work on our list, but I thought you had
Yeah.
mentioned that they were willing to come out and
Yep,
help
they are.
us. So, I mean, if we have that option to use, I guess it would make sense to use it.
That's
But
free
let's
service.
work on our priority on our list, but are to get other subject matter and things that are priorities
Yep.
that we probably have to deal with right away and stuff that we can work on.
I think there'll be 5 Tuesdays in January in 2024, so maybe set something up for that 5th January with the league, so we have it in place and aren't saying,
That'd
oh
be good.
yeah, let's give them a call.
Keep
I
kicking
like
it, keep
Yeah.
kicking it down the road,
agree with
yeah.
that.
I like
And,
that.
and it would, it would start out the year that way too.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
So would you wanna do that, Mayor? Contact the league and
Mhm.
see?
Yep, I can do that. I'll reach out to them, set it up for that. That would be January.
Well, I think it's a leap year too next year, but it should be 4 still, 5 still Tuesdays, if it,
Okay,
I think.
yeah, I'll do that.
Hopefully. Yeah, can get-
Good enough. And then later in the
It's
week,
not
we'll,
the next one, the next,
30th of January would be the 5th.
January 30th, okay? Yeah, I'll call them and then I'll give you the update, what they say. Good deal. All right, so we'll stay tuned then for the topic for next Tuesday, right? We'll nail that down by the end of the week? Okay. All right. Anything else on the city manager's newsletter?
That is it.
Okay. Okay, we talked about the work session, we should be good. We'll move on to board updates. Anything that anybody would like to report on their various boards that they're involved in? I guess I could start by, I talked briefly about it with the chamber last night. Of course, we had the welcome picnic, went very good. There was over 500 students that came through the line. Thanks, Councilmember Gullickson and I and Becca were there, and it was, I think it just went great. It was 13 or 14 vendors set up around there, and I think things couldn't have went better. So that went good. That's really about all I had on my boards. Anybody else have anything?
Well, I saw some comments with our pickleball courts, and I know at our park board meeting we had that's been a sore subject, and it's been pushed off and pushed off. It was supposed to get done right away in the spring, and now it just seems like they've contacted the company every week, and it's this issue, that issue, but they've been told it'll be done by Labor Day weekend. So, and I've seen one comment from one of the council people of just walk away and find somebody else. Well, it's like everything else, it's just finding the companies that do that type of work are rather limited. Sort of like the fencing companies. There was a good fencing company we always dealt with. They were always A1. They got bought out by somebody else. So some of the things that we've always had done didn't get done the way they've always gotten done. Was the comments from our public works director that, you know, it's just the big keep taking and gobbling up the smaller ones, and hopefully it gets done here by Labor Day to get it done. You know, it should have been able to have been used all summer long if they would have followed through on what they told us, but. So, the pickleball courts, yeah, we're banging our heads there, and it has been noticed and we're working on it.
Did we ever find out have we paid them in total?
No.
So we did save a retainer of some sort?
We haven't put anything down on it.
Yeah.
Would it be worth even at a certain point to even do them this year? I mean, you know, all of a sudden you do it and then it goes, maybe you get a little use out of it this fall, but then all of a sudden you got a whole winter over that, and then you really don't have that bright, shiny new court. If you could get it,
What's
On their
guaranteeing that you're
schedule
gonna
right
get
away
it,
in
you're
the
on their
middle.
schedule, we were on their schedule this spring, so
Yeah.
you're sitting and waiting again, if you can get them here and get it done, I think you just have to try to get it done when you can get it done. I mean, to put it off again for another 6 months, to say, cause I want it to look bright and clean. I mean, there's people using the courts for other purposes. I drove by there the other night and there's actually some, using it as a backstop. The fences, throwing balls on it. Oh my God, brand new fence in there. They're down there with, but until we have our nets and all the proper stuff up, but yeah, slow progress.
All right, any other updates at all?
Sue, feel free to correct me, but both the state and federal for the tree board had a designation for equipment, right, for water trailers or whatever we may need for that, so, both of them, I think they were the same value as well.
Yep, each of the two grants, you buy $5,000 worth of equipment.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
there's no match to these grants, unlike the last grant we had a third match or something. So, it seemed like
Good
good
deal.
opportunities to try and pursue.
Yeah, good, thanks for.
Can we combine the different funds on the same piece of equipment? I'm not sure how spendy a trailer or
Yeah,
tanks and all that are, but can we use the combined funds on? They need to be
You
separate.
could buy the trailer with one, I think, the tank.
Okay.
Something like that. So,
Thank you.
And then you can buy used equipment too.
Yep.
But watering's always been an issue, so we're trying to set ourselves up, for the city up for the future for watering, making it, into the future, having this piece of equipment be useful.
And that was another part of it, was some of this, whether it be pruning or whatever, it doesn't necessarily have to be city employees, it can be outsourced and, you know, vendor application for that stuff too, which
Yeah, so
would help.
watering and pruning.
Yep.
Both the structural, we have a lot of trees that have been planted, but they're maybe 5 inches in diameter and they need to be shaped for storm resilience is the big push, so, we can use vendors for both that and for storm damaged trees. And there's a big push both in our forest management plan and just in the urban forestry movement is to save large trees and prune them rather than removing them. So, Russ is gonna be able to identify some trees that maybe the city couldn't have pruned, corrected the storm damage because they don't have the right equipment or expertise. And so we'll be able to, trim that damage off and save the tree, the big tree. Because the environmental benefits of the big trees is just far surpasses. You could plant a zillion little trees and you know it's gonna be 30, 40, 50 years before they get big and provide the same benefits and shade and energy conservation and everything as the big trees. So there's a big movement, both from the state and federal government to save large trees. That's part of this.
And from a labor standpoint, that'd help Russ and the rest of the public works with, they have to do then if we can outsource some of that stuff too.
Yeah, one of the major goals is no extra work for city, for Russ, is what we're trying to do. Is reduce his additional work as well as his.
Jay,
This is a 4-year grant too. It's not just for one buck, it's for 4 years, so
okay,
over 4 years.
good deal, thanks for taking the legwork on that, doing the legwork on that, it's great. And a day like today, you sure appreciate the shade, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else, any other discussions on new boards? Any other business to come before the council? Hearing none,